And again, for the audience, we do have a very special rate for you all today. And so traditionally the program is $49.50 for smart investing in digital health. And again, you've got a code. There's about 10 of those available. If you use that code quickly, you should be able to get a certification from Columbia Business School. Again, I wear two hats, chair of HITLAB, also director of the digital health program at Columbia. And instead of paying the usual ticket price of a virtual program and certificate from Columbia of $49.50, it's $199. So again, use the code, click on the link, which I'll have to paste. I guess the link didn't copy over. And it would be great to have you join me. And usually the cohorts of about 25 to 35 executives from around the world certifying in digital health investing. And one of the regular faculty members of that program is HITLAB's own Director of Medical Affairs, Dr. Prem Sreenivasan. Prem, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Stan, and good afternoon. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and delighted to welcome Jim Parshall, who is Director of Connected Health and Devices, External Innovation at Eli Lilly. How you doing, Jim?
I'm great, Prem. How are you?
I'm doing terrific. It's wonderful to invite you to this session on digital diagnostics. And as we get started, please tell us a little bit about your own background and some of the areas of interest.
Sure. Well, first, I want to thank you and HITLAB for inviting me here today to be part of the symposium. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really happy to participate. Let me start first with Lilly. It's a 145-year-old global company that unites caring with discovery to create medicines that make life better for people around the world. We do this through our 5 core therapeutic areas of diabetes, oncology, immunology, pain, and neurodegeneration. But now that we live in a connected world, and we believe that combining our innovative medicines with today's digital technologies, including digital diagnostics, these can lead to personalized and actionable insights for patients. It can lead to patients better engaging with their healthcare professionals and improved even self-management solutions for patients. All of these can contribute to better health. Now, I'm in my 24th year at Lilly, and all of my roles have been around technology, electronics, and software. My EE background allows me to really still tinker, and I really am really drawn to software especially. So I've been in Lilly's product development organization since 2008, working with electromechanical devices and software. I'm currently a member of Lilly's delivery device and connected solutions external innovation team. And part of my job is to search for and evaluate potential collaborators in digital health, including digital diagnostics companies. Prior to this role, I served as the founder and director of Lilly's software device solutions, where I helped to create a digital health business within this traditional pharma company. I had the pleasure and privilege of building and leading a very high-performing team that created an entirely new class of product for Lilly, mobile medical apps, or as they're more formally known today, software as medical device. Again, Prem, thanks for having me here. I'm happy to participate.
Jim, thank you so much. It's wonderful to have you, and I think the audience would be delighted to seek your perspectives, particularly from the standpoint of pharma's role in digital diagnostics and with this ecosystem as it's evolving. I'd love to hear your perspectives based on all your experiences.
Sure. Pharma has, if I start by looking in the rearview mirror, pharma has been looking at digital technologies across company functions for years. It includes automation to help further improve manufacturing capabilities, advanced analytics to help us better understand our products and development, and even customer engagement solutions. If you look more recent, and anybody can take a look at these on app stores, et cetera, pharma has produced some really interesting consumer-focused digital software products that can range from drug-agnostic disease management apps to drug-specific product companion support apps. We've seen dosing calculators, even experiments in gamification. And there are products that even integrate digital diagnostics with drug delivery. A classic example is the automated insulin delivery systems that are entering the market now. So pharma recognizes the promise of digital health, including digital diagnostics. However, what pharma considers its role to be, as you asked, or what its scope in digital health will vary from company to company. And even as each company decides to vertically integrate, how it vertically integrates rates could vary too. And when I mean that by vertical integration, it's more of, do they internally development or do they leverage collaborations externally to develop the products? Lilly does some of both, and we especially leverage collaborations for digital diagnostics. The other thing to consider about the industry is how much we're using digital capabilities to improve our clinical research efforts. There are opportunities to accelerate patient recruiting, to better capture and analyze data, even in real time, and to broader facilitate study reach.
No, those are terrific, and the future certainly does look very promising in this space. And as you look at this, and you did highlight some of the successful examples, would you like to add any further points in terms of how this is going to integrate the home and the diagnostic front in terms of how the future is going to go forward?
Yeah, I think, I saw some of the people talking earlier. We need to recognize in the digital diagnostic space, there's digital biomarkers and then what I'll call digitized classical biomarkers, your traditional tools. And so, think about some of these examples. If you look at your classical home or mobile health diagnostic products, I'm talking about weight scales, blood pressure cuffs, blood glucose monitors. They're all becoming connected now, right? And even we've seen the little credit card sized 2 thumbs on to get an ECG. We've seen these heart monitors coming out here recently on this. From a little bit different perspective from diagnostics, we're starting to see consumer electronics adopt health functions. And classic example is the watch here. You can start getting not just heart rate, but you can get single point ECGs and blood, estimates of blood oxygen, for example. So there's a consumerization of healthcare that's underway, and that includes not just how patients will be diagnosed or treated, but also where. It's been traditional that you'd go, or standard of care, you'd go to see the healthcare professional wherever he or she is, and that's starting to change, and COVID has really accelerated that. In fact, I'd argue that COVID has advanced telehealth policy by a decade. Access and reimbursement are becoming more common for telehealth visits. And in fact, I would call it an entire industry of virtual care is starting to experience accelerated adoption because of this. So if we look into the future, and people were talking about this a little bit earlier, if we want to make virtual care work, there needs to be advances in medical instrumentation. In this case, though, I'm namely talking about integration and communication standards. Consumer versions of stethoscopes, consumer versions of endoscopes for looking at ears, nose, and throats, they all exist and they're digitized information. The challenge is, if you're on a telehealth visit or a virtual care visit, how do you get that data from your devices at home in real time to the healthcare professional on the other side of the screen? And that will increase the effectiveness and value of a virtual visit.
I think that's fantastic. And, putting your engineering hat back on, can I ask you how you're going to, some of these successful collaborations are going to come forward in terms of, as you, take us into the future with reference to the diagnostic tools that may be appropriate in this space?
Yeah, so let me clarify. You want me to talk about the collaborations themselves that pharma may have?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I talked in generalities around pharma's interest in digital diagnostics, but let me share that leveraging digital tools and technology to improve adherence and effectiveness of our medicines, it's a key strategy for Lilly. But the other thing I need to share in all transparency, I'm sure many of my peers in pharma will agree, is that while pharma has a long history in successfully developing medicines, developing digital products is very different. So that's why collaborating with external organizations such as big tech, academia, and startups is so important to advancing digital health innovation for patients. Additionally, these type of collaborations bring diversity of thought, perspective, and experiences, which can drive more robust innovation. So you'd asked about these collaborations and challenges, and I want to explain more about that. I think what's best here is let me focus on the collaboration between pharma and digital diagnostic startups. And in this case, in the last question, I kind of focused on the digitizing of classical diagnostics. But now let me talk about digital biomarkers, because so much of that is software based, and you'll see more why here in a bit. There's three sets of challenges with pharma working with software-based digital health companies, including digital biomarker companies. And let me talk about those. The first challenge is that there are very, very different software development models. It can take 10 years and $2.5 billion to move a drug from discovery to launch. Now, the industry is working to reduce that time, and Lilly has got a goal of even reducing it to 5 years or less. But the bottom line is drug development takes many years. It has a single development path with many opportunities to fail, and in some regards, only a single opportunity to successfully launch it. Then once launched, a pharma company never, ever wants to change the product. So contrast this waterfall model that pharma is using to creating a software-based minimum viable product, or MVP, in months, not years, for a tiny fraction of the cost of developing a drug. And then once that software product is launched, it's rapidly and continually iterated to add features or make improvements. So these wide differences in the development models lead to differences in decision-making and governance across both sets of companies. So that leads to like a second big challenge that pharmas and startups are experiencing, and that's the difference in approaching risk. You know, by their very nature, startups have a higher tolerance of risk. They're more agile. They want to try new things more quickly. They'll pivot if necessary. On the other hand, established pharma companies, sometimes 100 years or more old, like Lilly, are going to behave much differently than a startup when it comes to tolerance or change of risk. The pharma companies are going to move more thoughtfully in a very measured way, given their histories and their investments. And then there's the third challenge, which I'll talk about as speed or maybe urgency. Pharmas operate in a highly regulated environment with a traditional product development model. This allows them to dedicate the time and resources for ensuring the safety and efficacy of their medicines. And although pharma is working to bring their medicines to market faster, startups must move even more quickly. They tend to have a very short time horizon to create their products and generate revenue. If they can't, the game may be over for them. So these differences leading to the challenges must be recognized, but they also must be appreciated, as startups and pharma both play important roles when it comes to developing innovative solutions for patients. Startups bring this enhanced agility, the applications of new technology, and a different but still healthy perspective on risk. Pharma has the structure to bring more clinical rigor to a collaboration, including established quality systems and a very deep quantitative understanding of their medicines. And the combination of these capabilities across both types of companies is what drives value and success. And because of this, Lilly's always looking for startups and other collaborators to help us develop innovative solutions for patients, their caregivers, and healthcare professionals.
So thank you so much, Jim, for that wonderful presentation and a broad overview as to where the field is and perspectives, particularly with reference to the pharma startup partnerships and areas for the future. So with that, HITLAB would definitely like to thank you very much for this opportunity. The audience certainly enjoyed it, and we look forward to staying in touch in the future. So
thank you, Prem.
Thank you for that, Jim.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you both for just a tremendous conversation. Thank you, guys.